Hi guys, it is Aoife from Fred We See Died Laughing and I'm here with another weekly wrap up. I would like to start off by apologising that I haven't had any videos since my last weekly wrap up. Unfortunately my Mac charger broke, so my Mac is on like really little power, so I can't really use it at the moment, and I'm currently waiting for my new charger, so I haven't been able to edit any videos at all. I haven't even recorded any because I wasn't going to be able to edit them, though I probably should have pre-recorded a few, but I didn't. But hopefully I will be getting it today at some point, so I'll be able to put this up, and then I'll also be able to pre-record some other tags and recommendation videos and stuff like that, and be able to put them up over the next couple of weeks as well. So just to start off with this week, I did had a pretty good reading week. I read, since the last wrap up, I completed 5-6 books, though I was pretty much almost finished one of them at my last weekly wrap up, which was The Assassin Game by Kirsty McKay. This is a book that I got from NetGalley, and it is set on this island off the coast of Wales, and it's following this girl who is going to this boarding school on this island, and she has kind of been initiated into this weird kind of club, the Assassin's Guild, I think it's called, and they play this game called Killer, where one of them in this club is the killer, and they have to kind of do different tricks and pranks and kill off the other members of the club, while the other members of the club have to try and guess who the killer is. So it's a little bit like that, and then these weird things are happening within the game that aren't really right. Then a new guy comes along and it just starts going super weird. The girl doesn't know what's going on. I can't think of her name for some reason, and she just can't figure out who the killer is, if there's another killer, someone else playing the killer, another killer who is being a little bit more sinister about things. And overall I thought like the premise of this was pretty good, but it just ended up being a little bit kind of unbelievable at times and a bit cheesy. And though I think if people like kind of Sarah Shepard books, The Pretty Little Liars, The Lying Game, things like that, I think they would like this book. But overall it just didn't give me I don't know, I just didn't get enough of what I thought I would get out of it. I thought it was going to be super creepy, and it just wasn't as creepy as I wanted it to be. But it wasn't a bad read at all. It just wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be, so I gave it 3 stars. The next book I finished was The Inquisition by Taran Matharu. This is the second book in the Summoner series. I think a lot of people probably heard me literally rave about The Novice, which is the first book in the Summoner series. So this is basically set in a world where people can be these things called summoners, which is a kind of a magician, and they are able to perform these kind of different kind of magic, and they were able to reach into this kind of magical realm called the Ether, and they're able to get these kind of demon-like creatures that they can kind of claim, and they kind of become their sidekick in a way. And every single summoner has maybe 1 or 2 demons who are kind of like their best friends and their pets. And I just love it. I just love the whole premise of it. The magic system is really great. You know, you've dwarves, you've humans, you've elves, you've orcs. There's the big massive war going on between orcs. There's kind of racial tensions between humans and dwarves, and the way humans treat dwarves, and how elves are treated, and how it's just really good. There's just so much going on. So this just kind of follows on from Fletcher after he has kind of attended the school called Vulcans, which is where he's learning the magic. And obviously I can't say too much about it. What I will say is that I kind of forgot some of the stuff that happened in the last book, which I'm kind of surprised about because I didn't think I would. So it took me a little while to get back into the feel of the story for this one, and kind of to remember who certain people were and what had been going on and stuff like that. But once I did, it flew really nicely and I just couldn't put it down. The ending, oh my god, there were just some different things, kind of revelations that happened in this that just left me like gobsmacked. I just had no clue it was coming. And then the ending was left off on such a cliffhanger. I'm dying, I need the next one. It was so good, I gave it a 4.5 stars. And the next book I read, of course, was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is based by the J.K. Rowling original Harry Potter series, but it was written by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne. For obviously the screenplay was written by these two guys, and J.K. Rowling kind of had a hand in it, but she didn't like really write the whole thing. She kind of gave her blessing to it. But this is really good. This is obviously following on from Harry 19 years later after the events of Deathly Hallows, and it's following kind of Harry as a dad and as like a ministry worker, as a husband, kind of trying to deal with his teenage children, trying to connect with them. And I didn't think I would like this book, particularly because, you know, I just wasn't sure about the whole thing of Harry as an overworked, you know, employee of the Ministry of Magic, and as a struggling dad and all this kind of stuff. I was a little bit like, oh, is this kind of going to break my heart a little bit if I read it? Is it going to ruin my Harry Potter bubble? And again, as a screenplay, I haven't read any screenplays basically outside of school, so I wasn't sure if I would really be able to follow the story, but I'm really, really glad to say that I was. Literally within, I kind of put off this. I got this on the Sunday, but then I didn't actually start reading it until like really late Monday night, because I think I was a little bit afraid of picking it up. So I finished off the other two books I had been reading, which was The Assassin Game and The Inquisition. But then I got like 10 pages into this and I was like, oh my god, I love this already, like this is brilliant, I just can't put it down. But obviously I couldn't go too far into the night with it because I had work at like 6 o'clock the next morning, so I had to put it down. And then like the next day in work I was just like dying because I just wanted to pick it back up and read it, and then I did, and I finished it obviously on Tuesday afternoon, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. As I said in my review, I was almost prepared to give it a 5 out of 5 just because it's Harry Potter. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was totally prepared just to, because it's J.K. Rowling and because it's Harry Potter, I was like, that just gives it an automatic 5 stars in my book. But I genuinely think the story was really engrossing. I fell straight into the story. I did miss some of the descriptions and some of kind of like, you know, the learning of the magic and stuff like that that you get with the original Harry Potter series and Hogwarts. But, you know, this is a screenplay, it's not a book, so I can't expect to have all that richer kind of description and that richer detail that you get in the books. You know, this is supposed to be on stage, so you get that extra detail and extra description from the visual effects. And while I was reading this, I haven't seen the play, I'm dying to see the play, I just haven't been able to get tickets, but as I was reading this I could see how everything could play out on stage. I could actually see the stage play in my head as I was reading it, and so I think it just won, like, you know, it did its job as a screenplay by giving me that almost stage-like experience while I was reading it. I think some of the things people are saying that are a little bit laughable about it and a little bit like stupid, like, I understand why people might think that, but I don't think it's too far out of the woods that what happened in this could have happened within the original story. I can't really say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but I definitely think that, you know, it's not too far out of the crazy, you know, it's believable enough for me. But again, I enjoy the story, I absolutely love the characters. Scorpius Malfoy has become one of my favourite like Harry Potter characters of all time. I just love him, he is like my soul animal, I just get him so much. And Albus was a little bit of a douchebag for most of it, to be honest. I didn't really like Albus that much. He was such a little moan and like just like pretended that he, like, the world owed him something and that the world hated him, and I don't know, just the way he was going on for a majority of the book, I just wanted to slap him and be like, cop on. But Scorpius completely, you know, won me around. I loved Scorpius. So 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Harry Potter. It was amazing. The next book I read was the Lubetkin Legacy by Marina Lewycka. This is a kind of weird novel that I'm kind of going to try and explain. It kind of follows these couple of people living in this council flat in London. One of the guys, his name is Berthold Sidebottom, like what a name, but let's just call him Bert for now. His mother has just died and he's afraid that he's going to lose the council flat because it has 2 rooms. So there's this little old lady from Ukraine who was in the hospital bed beside his mom, and he decides that he is going to take her into his home and she has to pretend to be his mom when the inspectors come around, so he doesn't lose the flat basically. And then the other story that we're following is Violet, who lives in the flat, who's just moved into the flat next door to Bert, and she is just starting like a really good job in an insurance company, and she's kind of figuring out who she is and then what her values are. She's working in this very kind of money-based corporation where, you know, it's all about the money and not really about the people. And, you know, she was born in Kenya, but she grew up in England when she kind of moved over when she was, I think, 7 or 8. But she has these really deep kind of roots in Kenya and Nairobi, and she talks about that a lot, and about her grandma and about things that she saw in Nairobi, and it kind of links into her job in the insurance company, so it all makes sense, because she's kind of investigating some things happening for the company that is going to be built in Nairobi. So she's kind of looking into that, and it's just kind of bringing back all those childhood memories for her. This was funny. It was funny in like a kind of like, you know, I can't believe this is happening to these people, this is completely ridiculous, but at the same time you could kind of almost imagine these kind of crazy people living in these places. There's all these kind of just funny characters from all different like parts of the world. You know, this flat block is you know, there's all sorts of people from like African countries, there's Ukraine, there's Poland, there's I think Chinese, Japanese, like there's just all these kind of crazy people. I think it kind of just is showing that, you know, everyone is different, they come from these different cultures and different traditions, and they follow all these kind of different rules based on how they were brought up, but at the same time everyone is quite ordinary underneath it all, and everyone's just kind of doing the same thing, which is just living their life. And yeah, I can't say too much about it because it was just one of those odd kind of books that it didn't really have like a proper plot to it. You just kind of went along with it. I was going to give it a 4 stars, but then the ending was a little bit rushed, I think, particularly on Violet's side, and then I just didn't quite get the satisfaction I wanted out of Violet's story, because her story took a really interesting turn to where she went, and I just would have liked it just maybe just an extra chapter, an extra 2 chapters with her, just to see how she got on. I would have preferred that, so I ended up kind of dropping it down to like a 3.5 stars, but I did enjoy it, and I think I would pick up more of Marina Lewycka's books, because they're just, I think she just kind of writes these odd, quirky kind of books about just these like different people and cultures and stuff like that. So it was enjoyable, and I did like it in the end. So 3.5 stars. The next book I read was a NetGalley book, and it was The Muse by Jessie Burton. This is Jessie Burton's second book. I've read her first book, The Miniaturist, which I really loved, and this one follows 2 different stories. One in London in 1967 and one in Spain in the late 1930s, so just before kind of the start of World War II. So you're following Odell, who is a girl who's just become a typist in this art gallery in London in the 60s. She is originally from Trinidad, so she's a black girl living in London, dealing with some racism every day. And then you also have Olive, who is a painter, living with her father, who is kind of a art dealer in Spain, and she kind of falls in love for the first time over there, and she's dealing with the fact that, you know, the war is kind of coming closer, and she doesn't know, she doesn't want to leave Spain, she doesn't want to go back to London. And there is this mystery of this painting on both of their sides. On Odell's side, it's, you know, trying to figure out what the painting is about, where the painting came from, and then in Olive's you're seeing where it kind of originated from. And it just kind of links the 2 stories together, and there's a few different links as well, and you're kind of trying to figure it out how these people are all linked together over the span of these 30 or 40 years. I really enjoyed it. It kind of had that same kind of atmosphere and really nice pacing that I found in The Miniaturist. I really enjoyed some of Odell's storyline as, you know, a black girl living in London, dating a white boy, dealing with some racism. There wasn't like an emphasis on the racism that she was dealing with, but there were some instances where she described, you know, people looking at her, people saying something, and it was just, there was no big deal made out of it, but she said that it happened, so we're aware that it was there. There's this really nice kind of styling as well, where Odell, she like spoke in like really good English when she was speaking to other people, but then when she was speaking to her childhood friend Synth, who was also from Trinidad, her dialogue would completely change and it would go back into like the Trinidadian accent, and I just really liked that, just like style wise, and reading it and hearing it in my head. I could see how like people's accents would change. It was very realistic, kind of who she was with Synth, who had known her forever, and who she was with the people that she worked with, who were all English, and, you know, she wanted to be this kind of very English class person even though she wasn't actually from England. But yes, I really enjoyed it. I think if anyone really liked the miniatures, they would like this, because I could see there's obviously huge similarities in the style and the descriptions and the pacing and stuff like that. It definitely had that little bit of magic that I've kind of associate with Burton's writing now, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and again, it just proved to me that I love Burton's writing and I would definitely pick up more of her work. Last book that I've been reading this week that hopefully I'll get finished at some point today is The Land of Stories, A Grimm Warning by Colfer. This is the 3rd book in the Land of Stories. I absolutely adore this series. It's just so cute and funny and fairy tale like. I just love the twists he puts on all the fairy tales and all the fairy tale characters in these books. I absolutely adore the covers. I say it every single time I hold up one of these books, but the covers are absolutely stunning. I'm in love with them. I am about 230 pages and it is about 450 pages, so I'm almost halfway through, and I'm really looking forward to finishing this. It's pretty good so far, and yeah, that's that. So that is all the books I read this week. I had a pretty good reading week. I'm very happy with that. Please let me know all the books that you've been reading this week, what you think of them. If you've read any of the books I've read and what you think of them, leave a comment below. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you like my channel, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!